These are my mechanics 9 months ago, and these are my mechanics now. I am not some mechanical mastermind, but this is a very noticeable difference, and over the last 9 months I've spent a lot of hours looking into mechanics and how to improve them. Mechanics are actually very easy to improve, and yet so many people struggle with them. Typically, your mechanics are always going to be improving whenever you play the game, but I want to tell you how to improve them stupidly quickly so you don't actually need to play 5,000 hours just to rank up a few divisions. Improving your mechanics comes down to a simple few key things: consistency, isolation, intention, and application. Let's start with consistency, which comes down into two main parts. In-game consistency, which is how much your performance changes from good days to bad days, and out-of-game consistency, which is how often you play the game itself. Firstly, you might struggle with having bad days where you feel like you just can't do anything right in the game. You miss every single shot, you can't take a good first touch, and you always concede. To minimize these bad days, we need to do two simple things. Firstly, you just need to have a warm-up every single time you play that you stick to. A solid warm-up is the foundation of any great player, and skipping it will just lead to inconsistencies in your mechanical ability. A warm-up doesn't even have to be complicated. Even just 15 minutes of free play, warming up all the specific aspects of the game, like ground play, air play, power hits, soft control touches, etc., will be more than good enough. The more important part is not what you do in your warm-up, but it's that you actually do it. And secondly, you need to keep your mental up. Most people get very easily tilted at their teammates or themselves or anything else, and this leads to more inconsistency in your mechanics. If you're always angry, you're never going to be able to play well. So if you want to play your best from game to game, you need to have a strong mindset about the game and not let yourself get angry. Now, on to isolation. For you to optimally improve your mechanical ability, you need to isolate skills, particularly your weaknesses. The generic improvement advice of just ball chasing in free play or doing rings maps will not actually help you, unless the specific skills those drills are training is what you specifically are missing. For example, I have had 2-week periods where I would spam rings maps for every day for 30 minutes. Because I was isolating my aerial car control and aero. But I've also had other periods where I don't do any rings maps and instead I do shooting training packs to isolate my power shots. The point of isolating your skills is that if you train everything, you train nothing. I like explaining this with a basketball analogy. So now imagine that you were a basketball player. Would you practice your shooting, your dribbling, your passing, your rebounds, your free throws, all in the same session? Of course not, because that's just going to hold you back from truly putting in the effort and time into specific aspects. Instead, you would pick one day to focus on shooting, another day to focus on dribbling, and maybe another day to focus on free throws, and so on. So, find your mechanical weaknesses, you usually know what they are, and then pick one thing to focus on for a whole week. And then for that week, try to train that mechanic every single day with an isolated method, like a training pack, a free play drill, or even a workshop map. The method doesn't really matter. Just do what works for you and that you enjoy actually doing. Now, moving on to intention. This is arguably the most important part of improving your mechanics stupidly fast. The biggest mistake most people make whenever they train their mechanics is that they autopilot and just go through the motions like a robot. What this leads to is hours put into training, but still absolutely no results. So if you want to improve your mechanics as quickly as possible, you need to train with as much intention as possible. An easy example I can give is, let's say you're training your shooting in a training pack. Don't get lazy and start accepting really soft shots or poorly placed ones right down the middle. Instead, you should be striving for power and accuracy, because the whole point of training your shooting is to get more consistent at getting, you guessed it, good power and accuracy. So whatever it is that you isolate, try to be as present and mindful during your training as possible. Don't autopilot, and instead challenge your mechanics as much as you can, because that will make them improve the fastest. And this leads me to my last point in this video, which is application. Every previous step mentioned in this video has been with the purpose of telling you how to actually improve your mechanics. But to see those improved mechanics in-game, we need to apply them. For example, I've had a lot of people who I coach tell me that they've practiced their speed flips in free play, but then in real games they don't actually ever use them because they're scared of messing up, conceding goals, or getting flamed by their teammates. And I always tell them the same thing that I'm about to tell you. The only way to learn is to actually apply, and to apply consistently. You will never be comfortable at speed flips if you don't do them in ranked games too, because training is great and isolation is important, like we previously talked about. But in a real game with limited boost, pressure, defenders, whatever it might be, that is the real test of your mechanics. So it's one thing to have great flicks in free play, and a whole other thing to have great flicks in actual ranked games. And I can tell you from personal experience, over my Rocket League journey of years and years of playing this game, I've probably conceded thousands, if not tens of thousands of goals from trying mechanics that I wasn't 100% sure of. But that's just the cost of improvement. You will mess up sometimes, and that is fine. As long as you're focused on your mechanical improvement, you will get better the more you try these mechanics in real games. So please don't be scared to use whatever you isolated in actual ranked games, because that is the only way to improve. You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. So the only way to improve is to take as many shots on goal as possible and do your best to learn from each shot along the way. And the only way you guarantee that you will actually never improve your mechanics is if you never use them in actual matches. So stop being scared of losing your rank, and instead start putting in a bigger focus on your improvement over everything else. And if you guys enjoyed this video and you like how I explain things, I'm a coach on Medify, where I do one-on-one coaching, where we go through some of your replays together. I tell you your biggest mistakes, how to fix those mistakes, and give you a simple, straightforward plan to move forward with your Rocket League improvement. If that sounds at all interesting to you, make sure to check out the first link in the description. I would appreciate it a lot. You clicked on this video because you want better mechanics. Not just better mechanics so you can hit clips and impress your friends, but mechanics that will actually help you win games and rank up in Rocket League. So in this video, I'm going to give you everything that you need to know about mechanics. I'm not going to drag this video out so I can just earn a bunch of money from ads. I'm not going to give you every single piece of information that exists out there so I can make this video 17 hours long, but rather, I'm going to give you 9 tips that I used myself personally that helped me rank up fast. So without wasting any more of your time, let's get into the first tip, which is going to be to please warm up before you play. This is the simplest tip in this video, and I'm going to get it right out of the way first because it's so important but also so simple. If you want to improve your mechanics, which you obviously do because you clicked on this video, please just start warming up before you queue. And the best part about warming up is that it doesn't actually have to be complicated. It's just common sense. You would never walk into a gym, load up 100 kilograms on the bar, and just start bench pressing it cold. And Rocket League is no different. Even 10 to 15 minutes of warming up will make you play so much better in your sessions. Moving on to tip number 2, it is to use free play and do it properly. I believe that free play is the best mechanical training tool in Rocket League, and it's not even close. You get more touches per minute than any other game mode. You get full control over your setups, so you do actually have to do everything yourself. And they're realistic in-game situations, because again, you're creating them. It's not like a training pack where you'll have a perfect setup for you and then you just have to score. Every single pro player uses free play. Every high-level mechanical player uses free play. Every freestyler who has crazy mechanics uses free play. But here's the mistake that most people make. They go into free play because they hear tips like this video and they think, okay, well, I'll go do free play. And they just kind of hit the ball around and do some random stuff for like 20 minutes. And then they wonder why nothing ever changes. So when you go into free play, you need to have one clear focus. Not just, oh, I'm gonna train my mechanics today. No, it has to be specific. Today, I'm going to go and practice my 45-degree flicks. Today, I'm going to go and practice my flip resets. It doesn't have to be difficult. Again, it's simple, but specific. Tip number 3, and this is an underrated one. Challenge yourself even when it feels uncomfortable. So if you're always training and it feels easy, you're not improving. I promise you. Rocket League mechanics work just like muscle growth in the gym. And I like this analogy a lot because it's very simple and it's very straightforward. Muscles only grow when you put them under direct stress, right? That then tells the muscles, oh well, we're too weak for this. Okay, we have to grow, we have to get better so we can do this thing in the future, right? You have to challenge them. You have to force them to adapt. Because if you always do a very simple workout, guess what? They're gonna always just think, oh yeah, this is easy. Oh yeah, this is easy. This is nice. And you have to think about the same way in Rocket League. If you're only training the things you're already comfortable with, you're not pushing your limits. You're not gonna get better. Because your mechanical skill is always gonna be thinking, oh yeah, this is easy, bro. Light work, bro. No. You need to try harder stuff. Try things that you're gonna mess up. Try things that feel awkward. Because you're supposed to fail. That is the only way improvement actually happens. I promise you. I tried to get good at flip resets, and at first, I was horrible. I was horrible. And I could not, for the life of me, get a good flip reset and actually score from it when I was in like GC1. I was so bad at them. But guess what? I did it, and then I did it again, and then I did it again. And I did that like every day, for however long it takes. And then I got good, and guess what? It was only because I did it when it was difficult. If I never did it when it was difficult and I always just stayed with my flicks and my ground plays, I would have never actually gotten good at them. Now, tip number 4 is a very controversial one, but if it's coming from me, you know it must be facts, which is that you need to play more 1v1. And I'll be honest, if you guys know me, and this isn't your first time watching me, you would know that I don't enjoy 1v1s pretty much at all. And I don't play them all the time. But in my journey through the ranks, ones has helped my mechanics massively. And the reason for this is very, very simple. In 1v1s, nobody bails you out. Every mistake gets punished, and every good play actually matters. In 1v1s, it's always a matter of you either score or you concede. And that kind of pressure forces you to actually use your mechanics to the highest level. It requires you to make the right decision, of course, as well, but also just to go for the right mechanic, to use the mechanic well under stress, and to execute on the mechanic the way that you've trained all of your time. And as a nice side bonus, it's also incredibly good for mental training, because if you can stay calm in 1v1s, you're already ahead of most players, including me sometimes. The 5th tip I have for you is that quality beats mindless quantity. I'm a big believer in this idea that the more you put in, the more you get out. So hours matter, volume matters, but quality matters too. Because there are players out there grinding 10 to 12 hours a day, every day, and are still stuck in low ranks. The guy who on Rocket League Tracker has the account with the most amount of games won of any Rocket League account that's ever been created is Plat 2. Yes, his tracker's out there. You can check it yourself if you don't believe me. He's like Plat 2, and his peak I think is like Diamond 2, which, for the record, is about the average rank in Rocket League. And that guy has played over like 3,000 games of ranked every single season for the last like 10 seasons. Because he's playing mindlessly. If you want real mechanical improvement, you need to have a focus, an intention, and a goal for each session. And remind yourself what those things are when you're going to start working on them, because otherwise you will forget, and you will eventually realize that you wasted hundreds of hours with little to no progress at all to show for it. So every time you go into a session, remind yourself what you're focusing on that day. If you go into free play and you think to yourself, today I'm going to practice my flicks. Boom. It's as simple as that. It took like 2 seconds to just say that sentence in your head to yourself. And it's as simple as that. The sixth tip I have for you is a bit of an unorthodox one, but it's to play aggressively and confidently. Because the players who improve mechanics the fastest are almost always aggressive players, confident players, and players who are willing to make mistakes. And the reason for this is so simple. The more aggressive you play, the more times you do stuff. And the more times you do stuff, the more mistakes you make, the more you learn from those mistakes, and the faster you ultimately improve. So a passive player might mess up less. They might make less mistakes. But because of that, they'll also learn way slower. Being aggressive will cost you games in the short term sometimes. But in the long term, it will accelerate improvement like you've never ever seen before. So please, if you want to maximize your improvement over your rank, play aggressively and confidently in your own rank games. Now, tip number 7. Be elite at one thing. You don't need to be amazing at everything. Now, don't get me wrong. You want to be good at every single skill. You don't want to have a big weakness to your game. But you should have that one strength, that one thing, that one difference maker. The one thing that you can rely on, that stands out. Something that you can consistently create chances or just score with. For me, when I was ranking up through the ranks, it was always ground dribbles and flicks. And I got so good at these mechanics that I could just 1v2 defender sometimes. I could break both ankles, win some mind games with like kind of fake them out, or I could just flick it in their net. And that skill won me countless games. And now I'm not trying to boast about that, but what I am trying to tell you is that I was dog shit in the air, bro. I was horrible in the air. I could not flip reset until I was GC1. And I still got there because I got carried by this elite strength that I had. For example, my aerial plays might have been somewhere in the champ level, but my flicks were in the GC1, GC2 level, all the way down in like champ 2. So I just used the mechanic that I was really good at, and it basically just carried me through the ranks. And the best part about it is that your standout mechanic can be anything. It can be ground plays like it was for me. It can be aerials, it can be double taps, it can be resets, whatever it might be. And the way to figure out what your elite kind of standout mechanic should be is that just pick something you enjoy. Pick something that you feel drawn to, something that speaks to you, something that you're either already really good at and you just want to get better at it even more, or if you don't have that standout thing yet and you think you're kind of decent at everything but you don't have like a very big strength, then just pick something that you'd want to be really good at, right? Like when I was in like plat, I wasn't instantly really good at dribbling. I wasn't really good at 45-degree flicks. Of course not. But I saw these videos and I saw these clips of these people doing all these things. And I thought, wow, a 45-degree flick just like absolutely rocketed into the top corner. That looks cool. And what I want you to do is to try to find that thing for you that gives you that, oh, that looks cool moment. And find that, choose it, and have that be what you train as your standout mechanic. Now, tip number 8 is a huge one, and it's to keep improvement in the game fun and fresh. So, I don't want you to turn Rocket League into an Excel spreadsheet. I don't want you to make it rigid and like kind of routine and boring. What a lot of people do is they make these kinds of routine-y things where they're like, okay, I'm gonna play 15 minutes of warm-up, and then I'm gonna play 60 minutes of ranked, and then I'm gonna play 45 minutes of this training, and then I'm gonna do 30 minutes of this training, and then I'm gonna get off. And I'm here to tell you that you don't need that. Because most of the time, when people do that stuff, they just get bored of the game, and then they burn out and they stop playing the game because they don't enjoy it anymore. So what I'm here to tell you is that you almost always, or well, actually just always, remove that almost, you always improve faster when you're having fun. So keep the game fresh, mix things up, experiment sometimes. play what you enjoy. And this goes back to the previous tip that I had at number 4, I believe, which was to play more 1v1, right? If in one day you feel like playing 20 games of 1v1 and 0 games of 2v2, do that. If you don't feel like playing any 1v1 because you hate the game mode, for example, or something, then don't play it. Like I said, of course, that you should play once, and I do believe that, but I don't even do it every time. I'll play once when I feel like doing it and when I kind of want to do it, but I won't force myself to play it because then I'll know that I won't like the experience, right? Structure is good, but the enjoyment of the game is more important. And now this ninth and final tip is for the bit of hardcore players. It's for the players who really, really want to maximize improvement and are willing to do whatever it takes. So if you want to reach the highest levels of the game, right? Whether you want to reach GC, you want to reach SSL, you want to play tournaments, you want to play RLCS, whatever it might be, you need to be breathing and living the game. Let me tell you what I did. Between August 23rd and October 21st of last year, which is almost exactly 2 months, so 60 days, I went from low GC1, around low 1400 MMR, all the way to 1712 MMR and hit GC3 in almost exactly 2 months. And during that time, I put in a lot. Not just, playing ranked and free play and all that stuff, which of course I did that as well. Of course. But outside the game too. I was watching RLCS, I was watching these top 100 2v2 gameplay, from like Zen, Drolly, Appjack, all these pros. And I was studying all the improvement content that I could find. And the reason for this is because I had a goal and I was all in. So you might be confused why I'm telling you this. And I'm not telling you this just to, flex. Because, I don't really care about that. But I'm telling you this because the rule is very simple. The more you put in, the more you get out. So if you really want to reach the next level, if you want to reach SSL, or if you want to go pro, or whatever it might be that you want to do in this game, this matters. If you want to get better, you need to do whatever it takes to get better. If, of course, you're willing to do so. And the thing with this is that a lot of people are going to think it's cringe. A lot of people are going to say, oh, you're doing all this for a video game. Like, sure, people can think that. You can think that. And that's completely fine. Because if you don't prioritize the game enough to want to do this, that's completely fine and acceptable. So this is just a tip for the players who really, really want to reach the next level. But if you enjoyed this video and you like how I explain things and you want personalized one-on-one help to help you improve and rank up, I'm a coach on Metafy, where I analyze your replays, show you exactly what you're doing wrong, and then give you clear, simple fixes that you can instantly apply to get better. So again, if you like how I explain things and you want to improve further, check out my Metafy link in the description. It will be the first one. Let's be honest. Most people who want to improve their mechanics are just playing the game and hoping that it happens to them over time. And that's why their mechanics barely ever change. But you're different, because you're watching this video so you can shortcut your way into improving faster. So that's why in this video I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about improving your mechanics. Let's get into it. The first tip I have for you is to fix one constraint at a time. And this is actually a piece of advice that I've heard in business advice, right? Because there's businesses that usually have one big problem that's stopping them from making more money. So then when they fix that problem, they evolve and they get better. And it's the same way with Rocket League a lot of the time. Because most people have a decent amount of mechanics, but then they have that one weakness. And once they fix that weakness, then they become an overall much better player. So try to genuinely find out, what is your constraint? What is the thing holding you back from improving? What is the thing holding you back from ranking up? For example, maybe it's your shooting. Maybe every time you have a net that you can shoot at, you just completely miss the shot into Narnia. If that's the case, you should go and train your shooting. And then once you improve that skill, and that is no longer your constraint, then, well, firstly, you'll rank up probably. Secondly, you'll definitely improve. And third, there might be a new constraint. There pretty much always will be. The second tip, and genuinely I think the most important tip of this entire video, arguably, is that enjoyment accelerates improvement. You improve faster at mechanics that you actually enjoy practicing. And the reason for that is because enjoyment creates more reps, more focus, more patience, and if you hate what you're training, then you just won't stick with it long enough for it to matter. Again, there's a great saying that the best gym split is the one that's going to get you to go to the gym. And it's the same way with Rocket League. Like, if your training is in a way where you don't even want to launch the game, or you don't even want to go into the training pack or into the whatever, then you're not going to ever be training. But if it's just, oh, just, go into free play and do this and do that or whatever, it's in a way that you enjoy, it's so much simpler to get started and to keep doing it. So, firstly, pick mechanics that actually keep you engaged, right? Pick mechanics that you want to get better at. If it's a mechanic that you don't really care about getting better at, you're really not going to do it well. And secondly, pick the method of improving the mechanic that you also enjoy. Because you gotta do both. Even if you really like flip resets, if you're practicing them in a way that you don't really enjoy, that you find boring, then it's not going to matter. For example, with aerial car control, so many people recommend rings maps, but like I've never really found them that fun. I've done maybe 10, 15 reruns of some rings map, and honestly, I don't really want to do it again. So now whenever I want to train my aerial car control, I just go into free play and just go for random mechs in the air, It's like, you can have a great mechanic, but if you're training it the wrong way, it's just going to get boring. So, pick both of those things to be something you actually enjoy. And now the third tip is kind of going off of the second one, which is that you now need to just grind that mechanic in whatever way of training you've found, and you need to just grind it out as much as humanly possible. Now obviously this depends on how much you actually get to play the game every day, and how much you even want to put into the game to rank up and improve. But this is very simple. The more you put in, the more you get out. You're going to get so much better than everyone else if you're putting in more hours, while of course those hours being actually intentional. If you're doing 1 hour of training your mechanics every day, compared to the guy who's doing 0 hours, you're going to get insanely better. But compared to the guy who's doing 2 hours or 3 hours or 4 hours of training every day, you're going to get better a lot slower. And that's the thing with Rocket League. No other game is like it. No skills transfer over. So because of these things, the only actual way to get really, really good at Rocket League mechanics is to just grind so many hours into them. And it is kind of a sad truth, because if you have a normal life, if you have school, if you have a job, if you have whatever, you're probably not going to be able to play, all day. But do not let this discourage you. You can hit GC without playing the game, okay? You do not need to do this training 1 hour a day. This is all for the higher ranked players most of the time. Or if you just want to improve faster. But if you even play the game just like 2 hours a day, even 1 hour a day, but you play with intention, I promise you can hit GC. At least GC1. Above there, it's going to get maybe a little bit hard with just 1 hour a day, but even then it's still possible. So, train as much as you want to put into the game and as you can, realistically. And the last tip I have for you is kind of an interesting one, and it's basically to just actually train what is useful in game. Now, what do I mean by that? I just said earlier that you should train what you find fun. And do I think that's absolutely true? Yes. You should train what's fun. But if what you find fun are like Mac Toughs, or if you find fun some crazy freestyle mechanics, doing that is good for your overall car control and your mechanical skill, but in actual rank games, if you're trying to rank up, it's not going to be very useful, right? So then I would separate my time. I would do some time on those things that are just, fun and get my car control up, but I would have a separate amount of time on the things that actually, help me in ranked games, like the basics, the fundamentals. So just regular shooting, regular flicks. An example for myself was that I was doing Zen Touch training packs, right? Because it was something that I really enjoyed last few days. So I was just doing Zen Touches. And I did that for like 3 hours one day because it was really fun. But then I was like, well, this is good. It was fun. I enjoyed training it. My card control definitely got better. But it was also not the greatest thing for ranked mechanics, right? So then after that, I went and did some shooting training packs, right? And it's as simple as that. You can just pick, again, based off of your weakness, usually, but just pick something that is you'll always use in real rank games. Usually shooting, dribbling, aerial mechanics as well, but not like too fancy, because honestly, even up to like GC3, most of the time you're not hitting like multiple flip resets and stuff like that. So, if you're below GC, you shouldn't really be practicing like double resets, in my opinion. I think it's very useless. So just train stuff that is something that you could actually replicate in game as well. It's that simple, guys. That is how you actually improve your mechanics in Rocket League. Yo, what's up, guys? This is the mechanics advice for every rank in Rocket League. So I'm going to be grouping together bronze, silver, and golds because I think they all have the same piece of advice, which is that you need to genuinely just learn to hit the ball, firstly, and then secondly, to just hit the ball hard. So firstly, in bronze and silver, obviously you just need to be able to hit the ball, at all, like anywhere. A lot of people, literally just are not good at hitting the ball yet, so you just need to keep playing the game and just learn to, hit the ball. Now, for gold, you just need to be able to do the same thing, but a little bit harder. So if you can get, good contact, bangs like this, that's going to be super useful for you in gold. If you can hit this ball hard like this, obviously not as good as that, but if you're able to hit the ball hard, you're going to get out of gold pretty easily because you're going to be able to score a lot of shots, because like no one in gold is saving most power shots, or like any real shot that's anywhere near target with decent power. People are not going to be saving that, so you just need to hit the ball hard, and that's the best kind of mechanic that you should really learn. Now, moving on to platinum. In platinum, you need to learn how to dribble the ball and take control and time more. So the most essential kind of mechanic that I would learn is literally just dribbling. Firstly, obviously, bounce like the ball on top of your card dribbles, right? The carry. Just being able to do this, going around. You can make little cuts and stuff, right? Just being able to do this is really good in plat, because you can play it around people, and afterwards, right, you can start to incorporate some other mechanics to it. But even if you don't incorporate any mechanics, you literally just dribble. I've done so many like goals like this, just like, kind of doing like all these different sorts of cuts like this, and just going around people, and it works very well. So the way that I would practice this is very simple. Literally just go into free play, and this is what I did when I was low ranked. I would just get the ball on top of my car. Obviously you should not do the back smot thing, but then just drive around. And literally just hold the ball on top of your car as long as you can. Right, I talked about this in my Ultimate Flicks guide as well. Basically, if you want to learn how to dribble, this is one of the best drills for it. Like, if you want to just be able to dribble the ball on top of your car as long as you can, just do this. This drill will be super helpful for you. Now, secondly, what you can do is you can also do bounce dribbles, right? Bounce dribbles are also really good. So being able to just kind of learn how to keep the ball bouncing in front of you like this, and then you can after go for like a shot or something, right? So it would look something like this, where we're kind of getting a touch, and then we can go for shots and stuff like that. So bounce dribbles and carries are kind of your two best friends in platinum. I especially like the carry, but the bounce dribble is also super useful, because you can go for power shots. You can do a lot of different stuff with it, and the dribbling, they're just a regular carry is really good as well. Now, moving on to diamond. If you're in diamond, now you get into some of the nice stuff, which is flicks. Now, this means that you have to incorporate what we learned in the previous rank. So you learned dribbles, now you learn how to flick. Because the thing is, having the ball on top of your car, it's no threat if you can never, flick. right? You're never gonna just drive the ball into the goal every single time. So you need to have a kind of a good flick on you, so then you can be more of a threatening player, because that's what you need to be. That's, you know, all these mechanics are for, so you can become a threatening player on offense. So for example, a flick like that. But obviously, you know, in Diamond, you're not going to be able to do that. So what do in Diamond? We do some simple flicks. We do the front flip flick. We do the diagonal, or if you know how to speed flip, then speed flip flick, right? Just get the ball on top of your car, front flip. Boom. Really, really not that difficult if you put in enough practice and time into it. Speed flip flick. Again, not that difficult if you just are willing to put in some time into it. At first, they're super hard. But then once you put in enough time, they're going to get very, very easy. And the way I would practice these flicks is, again, I like free play. So I come in here, I would do this. Get the ball on top of my car, boom, flick, okay, reset the ball, come over here, the ball on top of my car, boom, flick, okay, whatever, go again. And I would just do this. And I've done so many hours of this drill that, like, I would say, pretty good flicks, right? I have probably better flicks than most like GC2, GC3 level players. So the reason for that is purely because I have put in the hours into learning flicks that most people are not doing. So if you want to get good at flicks, I would just spam this drill. Genuinely, you don't need anything else. The best kind of training methods and the best kind of ways, you know, to practice are usually not the most complicated, right? Occam's razor. The simplest answer is usually the correct one. And it's, in this case, the exact same way. If you want to get better at a specific mechanic, just like find one way to do it and just do that until you don't want to do it anymore. Like if I, got bored of this drill ever, sure, don't have to do it anymore. Don't force yourself. But I find it fun. I like this kind of, some would, call this repetitive. Some would call this really like boring or whatever. Maybe for you, yeah. Maybe this is not the method for you. I like this drill. If you don't, well, you can also practice flicks, and something else probably, but I've found that this is, in my opinion, like gets you the most repetitions, per minute and per hour of your time. So it's the most time efficient. It's also very, actual, just realistic practice. It's also just really, really good for you, for like in-game scenarios, because, I'm not spawning the ball on top of my car. I'm actually getting it there as well. So it's kind of, getting it from a ground setup like this, slowing down, getting the touches, getting it up, and then, flicking it. It's all very realistic. And so I like this drill a lot. If you don't like it, whatever, do what works for you. But that's essentially it. So now, moving on to Champ. In Champ, the mechanic kind of advice that I have for you is that you should just learn to get really, really good at shooting. A lot of people in Champ want to overcomplicate things. Champ is a rank where you're already like really good at the game compared to the average player. You're like pretty good, like you're getting up there. And the thing is that a lot of people want to do in Champ is that they want to think that they're really high ranked now, they're like good at the game, whatever. So then they think that they need to be doing like crazy stuff, right? A lot of people in Champ, especially high Champ, but some people even in low Champ, they want to start going for these double taps and these flip resets and these whatever. Thing is, to hit GC, to like get out of Champ, you do not need to be hitting like double, triple flip resets. You just don't. What you need is to have really good fundamentals. And the biggest fundamental, from my opinion, for Champ ranks is shooting. So the way that I would practice this is actually not in free play, because I think shooting is a very bad mechanic to train free play. I would just do shooting training packs. So this one with 50 shots, code will be in the description, is one that I really enjoy. Right? This is not super easy, but I think a lot of these shots are something that still, champion players can hit. And like these shots, you want to basically just do these like right like that. Like you want to get them into the corner. Like a shot that goes, with no power into like the middle of the net, like maybe not quite that, but like this. Like a shot like this, I'm not gonna accept, right? And you shouldn't either. Because the thing is, like in a real game, if you shot like that, it's pretty much always getting saved if there's a guy in net. Same with this, no power. Same with this, no placement. But here, that was a bit better. That I would honestly be able to count. Again, middle, right? Again, middle. So you want to be able to like place it in the corners, right? That's what you're kind of getting down here, like something like that, right? That's a very good shot, and that's not going to actually, get saved a lot of the time in real rank games. So you would just run this training pack and try to hit it into the corners as much as you can, right? It doesn't matter if it's top, bottom, whatever. Just try and avoid hitting it right into the middle, and just kind of try and place these shots. Right? Obviously, at first, if it's too difficult, just try and score it all, right, with good power. But once you can, score it with good power pretty consistently, then you should start, going for placement. Like I'm trying to get this top left, and that's fine. Because like, if you get a lot of power, but you get no placement, it's sometimes still fine. If you get no power and good placement, sometimes it's still fine. Like that's still decently, often a goal, right? Also, I would skip this shot 9 because I think this is just, I don't know. I think this shot is kind of unrealistic to real games, but if you can do it if you want. And like a lot of these shots are they're just really just getting down your technique on shooting the ball, because that's what you need in champ. You need to be able to hit the ball. You've already learned how to hit it hard and how to hit it accurately. So it's just like, a bunch of these scenarios are like very realistic, right? The ball, comes out to you and you have to score. Like these are very realistic, very, very kind of in-game oriented. And that means that you're going to get really good at kind of scoring the ball in, a range of different ways. Obviously it's also got some like aerial ones, like some redirect ones like this, where you need to kind of be able to hit it off of a pass to you, right? Someone's passing to you. You got some more rollers, some aerial ones like this again, just kind of, you're getting passed to you. A bunch more rollers, this one that you have to pre-flip for, number 27. You can't actually hit this one without a pre-flip, so you have to do something like this. But this one you can hit without a pre-flip. It's kind of a slower version. Got a couple of these like shots. This one you have to fast aerial for, so if you can't do that, just skip it. And then just got like a bunch of shots. Here you got some aerial ones, right? You got some aerial shots, and essentially I would just run this pack if you're a champ, and I would just run this as much as you can, and just try your best to place these shots, and let you just focus on placement. Obviously, you should focus on power as well, but really the main point is the placement. Like a shot like that does not do anything. Like we're never going to be scoring with shots that are dead center of the goal unless they're like really, really powerful, which a lot of the time they're not going to be. So these are also just a bunch of awkward shots, right? It's very easy to hit these over the bar because it kind of bounces at you like that, like this as well. A bunch more. Here you got some like slow ones. You gotta take time here, let it fall down a little bit, so then you can place it, because if you jump too early, then it's gonna just be awkward to shoot these. So basically I'll just run this pack. Again, code will be in the description, and literally just spam that, because if you're able to get really good shooting, you will literally dominate in champ ranks, in my opinion. So now my advice for GC players, I'm a GC player myself, GC3 peak, so this is kind of for me as well, but I think that applies for every GC player, which is that my mechanical advice to you is to just do all of the above. Do everything that we mentioned so far in this video, and just get really, really good at those things. So what I've really talked about in this video has just been like solid fundamentals. It's been dribbles, flicks, hitting the ball hard, shooting. These are all great fundamentals that you need to learn in order to get really good at the game. So it's like, for GC to SSL, you don't need crazy stuff, right? Obviously, yes, to get to SSL, sure, you probably need flip resets. But actually, maybe you don't, right? Like, Flakes has probably done it without it. Whatever. It's like, if you get really good at the fundamentals, you can make up for your, like, lack of flashiness. And the thing is, like, a lot of the time, you can just outplay people by having sheer, fundamental kind of skills. Like, you don't need to be able to triple flip reset like this, but if you can just have this kind of ball, you take it around one, and then you flick it above another, like, and then you have like a free pass middle or whatever it might be. If you have solid fundamentals, I promise you, you can hit at least GC3, and if you have really, really, really good fundamentals, then you can hit SSL probably, right? The thing is, a lot of people neglect this stuff, like, a lot of people don't work on their shooting, or on their flicks, or on their like ground dribbles, right? They don't work on these things. For example, I myself have like found myself, like I said, doing that training pack, and I found myself just doing shooting training again because I was like missing a lot of shots. And then as I started doing that training pack again, he instantly started scoring more goals, just because it was like a fundamental that I was kind of beginning to neglect again, even though I had previously trained it, right? And whenever you neglect something that's a fundamental, well, it's going to downgrade. Now when it downgrades, you're going to feel the kind of, well, the consequences, right? You're gonna be less consistent, you're gonna play worse, and you're not gonna be able to, you know, kind of have that arsenal, or that in your arsenal, right? Like if you're not good at shooting because you haven't trained it, you know, in a couple of weeks or months or whatever, then, well, guess what? You might have a game where, you know, you need to like score on 0 seconds with a power shot, and you literally just cannot shoot. You just can't, because like you just end up missing, and then you end up with losing the game, right? Now imagine if you maybe, you know, ran some power shots, training packs, right? Maybe you would score. So that's kind of my advice to you, is really just focus on these fundamentals if you're a GC Plus player, and really just pick whatever fundamental of these is your worst. So let's say you're good at shooting but you're bad at dribbling, or you're good at dribbling and shooting but you're bad at flicks, or you're bad at, you know, shooting and you're good at dribbling flicks. Just practice the one that you're weak at. You know, practice the one that you think of these fundamentals that, you know, we previously mentioned in for GC Plus. Just kind of think which one are you worst at, and then just try and do that over and over again, and literally just repeat it all the time. And once you get that, then you'll be able to have really good fundamentals that makes you, you know, a really solid player to play with and against. So that's all I've got for this video. If you enjoyed and you like how I explain things, make sure to check out my one-on-one coaching in the description, right? I'm a coach on Medify, where I do these replay reviews for people. I basically just go through your replays, tell you what you're doing wrong, tell you what I would do instead, tell you what, you know, the right play is, kind of, and essentially how to fix your mistakes, right? So if you guys are interested in any of that, it's the first link in the description, and I hope you guys enjoyed. So I will see you all in the next one. Good luck in your games, and peace out.